How women's anxiety was treated in history. Close your eyes and let your body grow lighter with every breath. The air around you is calm, warm, and still. You are safe, resting in this quiet moment, surrounded by the gentle hum of night. The world outside begins to fade, its edges softening like watercolor under slow rain. In this calm, we will travel through time together, gliding through centuries as softly as the turning of a page. There is no rush, no noise, only the rhythm of history and the softness of memory. This is a story of care, of how people once tried to understand a feeling they could not name. The quiet unease that lived inside the heart. Long ago, in rooms of stone and shadow, the air carried the scent of herbs and warm oils. Healers spoke softly, believing that balance and stillness could ease a restless mind. They did not yet know the language of emotion, but they listened in their own way. They watched, they comforted, they waited. The sound of breathing filled the space like a quiet tide. In that world, anxiety was not yet a word. It was a mystery, a wind that moved unseen through the body, a weight that came and went with no clear reason. As the centuries passed, the way people understood that feeling began to change. They gave it names, created rituals, and wrote about it in fragile books of medicine. Some said it was a wandering spirit, others thought it was the heart seeking peace. Through every age, one truth remained the same. People wanted to help, to soothe, to bring rest. You can almost hear their voices across time, whispering in the language of care. Each age tried to make sense of what could not be seen, turning confusion into comfort, fear into stillness. And now, as we begin this quiet journey, through the story of women and anxiety, let your breath match the pace of history itself, slow, gentle, and endlessly calm. In the stillness of this moment, the story unfolds. We will move gently through the ages, from ancient temples to quiet rooms filled with ink and paper, to modern spaces that breathe with understanding. Each era will offer a glimpse into how people once cared for the anxious heart, sometimes with tenderness, sometimes with error, always with hope. There will be no sharp turns, only a slow unraveling of time, like silk falling through your fingers. As the world outside drifts away, imagine the centuries waiting quietly to be heard. The story ahead is calm, patient, and kind. Let it guide you, softly, toward the heart of history, where every breath becomes a bridge between the past and peace. Ancient Greece and Rome, the wandering womb. Imagine yourself drifting back further and further beyond the walls of the present world. The air becomes softer, the light turns golden, and the rhythm of your breath begins to match the slow pulse of time. You find yourself standing at the edge of an ancient world, the land of Greece, where the sea hums against white stone, and the air tastes faintly of salt and thyme. The horizon glows like honey. There are no engines, no rush, no sound but wind and water, and the hum of life in its simplest form. In this ancient place, people lived by the rhythm of the sun and moon. The world itself felt alive. The sky a spirit, the sea a voice, the body a landscape of mysterious energy. When someone trembled with unease, when the heart raced for no reason, the ancients listened to the body as though it were the whisper of the earth itself. They looked for harmony between heat and cold, dryness and moisture, light and shadow. They believed that peace was not something to be found, but something to be balanced. The breath, the blood, the hum of the pulse, all were part of the same quiet song. For women who felt the weight of invisible worry, the world had a story, a strange old idea known as the wandering womb. They believed that the womb was a living creature inside the body, curious and restless, moving when neglected, searching for warmth and attention. When it wandered, it brought with it unease, dizziness, fainting, a fluttering heart, or soft tears that came without cause. It was not seen as malice, only movement, a part of the body lost and longing for home. To bring it back, healers created rituals of warmth and scent. They burned herbs, myrrh, lavender, and rosemary, letting their smoke curl gently through the air like silver threads. They mixed oils in clay bowls and warmed them by lamplight. The air shimmered with fragrance, soft, woody, and deep. A woman would lie down upon a woven mat, her hands resting on her chest, her eyes closed. Around her, voices would murmur softly, steady as the sea. They spoke to her as though speaking to the body itself, coaxing calm back into its rightful place. It was believed that fragrant smoke could lure the wandering womb back to where it belonged. That warmth could soothe its restlessness, that care could guide it home. Whether or not the body changed, the air did. It thickened with comfort, with ritual, with the sensation of being tended to. For the first time in days, perhaps weeks, the woman rested. And that rest itself, that stillness, was its own kind of medicine. Picture the scene. A quiet courtyard in the late afternoon. The marble reflects the fading gold of the sun. A small clay bowl glows with amber smoke, spiraling upward in lazy curls. Olive trees whisper in the breeze, their silver leaves flickering like tiny mirrors of light. The healer moves slowly, speaking in tones so gentle they could be mistaken for the wind. There is no rush, no fear, only care unfolding in time's own rhythm. The body is treated as sacred, the air as holy, and the act of resting as an offering to peace itself. The ancients understood something simple, something we still chase today, that stillness heals, that warmth, softness, and care can bring the body into harmony with itself. Even without modern knowledge, their gestures carried the truth that kindness calms the nervous mind, that gentle ritual invites safety. Their world was filled with stories, but beneath them was instinct, the human wish to soothe what trembles. As the centuries turned, philosophers began to weave the language of thought around these old beliefs. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, spoke of balance. The four humors, the elements within the body that shaped emotion and health. He believed that sadness, fear, and unrest could rise when one element grew too strong. The cure was not punishment, but patience. Rest, baths, herbs, and sometimes simply time. His writings glowed with quiet reverence for the connection between the mind and the body, though he did not yet have words for the invisible storm of anxiety. To him, calm was balance, and medicine was nature gently restored. In Rome, these ideas drifted like seeds upon the wind. The Romans loved order, structure, and beauty. They built gardens not just for the eyes, but for the soul. There, amid fountains and marble baths, they practiced the art of relaxation as if it were divine duty. A troubled heart might be soothed not with argument, but with scent, touch, and water. Warm baths perfumed with oils of rose and chamomile. Music played softly from stringed instruments. A meal of figs and honey beneath the open sky. Every act of comfort was a prayer to harmony. Imagine walking through one of those gardens now. The path beneath your feet is cool stone, the air soft with the sweetness of summer. Water murmurs from a fountain nearby, its rhythm steady as a heartbeat. You can hear the faint strum of a lyre, the distant laughter of evening voices, and somewhere in that moment, between sound and silence, the heart loosens. The tension that once sat heavy in the chest fades like mist at dawn. You realize, even then, even centuries ago, people sought what you seek now, a way to rest, to breathe, to feel whole. In the still chambers of Roman villas, healers spoke not of cure, but of care. They placed warm cloths upon the skin, offered drinks of honeyed wine, and whispered advice as soft as a sigh. Sleep was considered sacred, a gift from the gods, a returning of the soul to balance. If someone's thoughts ran too fast, they were encouraged to lie upon cool stone, to feel the steadiness of the earth beneath them. The sound of running water nearby was said to cleanse the spirit. And as the body rested, the mind would quiet, slow, rhythmic, serene. The scent of burning herbs still lingered, just as it had in Greece. Sage for purification, lavender for calm, chamomile for dreams. The smoke curled upward in silver ribbons, painting invisible lines between heaven and earth. It was believed that these scents did not just please the senses, but also spoke to the unseen, the parts of the self that words could not reach. In this way, the ancients cared not only for the body, but for the spirit within it. Though their understanding was wrapped in myth, there was wisdom hidden there. They knew that comfort is medicine, that touch restores peace, that ritual brings meaning to stillness. Their world was simpler, but their hearts carried the same truths we hold now. That rest is not weakness, but renewal. That to soothe another is an act of quiet grace. That healing often begins not with action, but with presence. And so across Greece and Rome, under different skies but the same moonlight, women found brief sanctuaries in the rituals of care, a bowl of warm oil, a whispered word, a moment of stillness in the long current of time. Each act said the same thing without ever speaking it. You are safe here. As you listen now, let that safety reach you too. Imagine the lamplight flickering softly across marble, the faint sound of the sea beyond the hills, the air heavy with warmth and the sweet breath of myrrh. Let yourself rest as they once rested, not because of understanding, but because of trust. The trust that the body knows how to return to balance, that peace is its natural rhythm. Breathe slowly. The ancient world hums quietly in the distance. The herbs burn low, their smoke curling in tender spirals toward the stars. A night breeze passes, carrying the scent of rosemary and salt. The sound of your own breathing becomes part of that ancient air, connected through time to countless hearts seeking the same calm. There is no hurry, no weight of centuries, only stillness, only warmth, only peace. The wandering womb no longer wanders. It has found its rest, as have you. The mind softens, the pulse steadies, the body feels whole. The ancients believed this moment, this quiet surrender, was healing itself. And whether or not their theories were true, they discovered something that remains true even now. That rest, in its purest form, is the oldest medicine of all. The lamps burn lower, the sky turns silver with the promise of dawn. And as history exhales, you breathe with it. Slow, deep, calm. The ancient world fades into mist, but its softness lingers, wrapping around you like a dream. You are floating between centuries, light as sleep, warm as time. And as you drift onward, the next chapter of history waits. Quiet, gentle, already glowing at the horizon. The Middle Ages, a quiet retreat. The centuries turn and the world grows dimmer, gentler, slower. The brightness of marble fades into the soft glow of candlelight, and the hum of ancient cities quiets beneath the hush of stone walls and prayer. You are drifting now into the heart of the Middle Ages, a world wrapped in silence and shadow, where time moves differently, and every heartbeat seems to echo through corridors of still air. The scent of beeswax fills the room, thick and golden, melting slowly into the air. You can almost feel the flicker of the flame, its light breathing across the stone, casting soft shapes that stretch and fade against the walls. This is a world built for stillness, a world where sound becomes sacred and silence becomes a kind of music. In this quiet, women who trembled with worry or deep exhaustion were often taken away from the noise of life, not for punishment or judgment, but to rest, to retreat, to be still. They were brought to places where time seemed to hold its breath, gardens behind tall walls, rooms lined with wood and linen, where the air itself seemed to whisper, "Hush." Outside, the world was wild with storms and endless tasks. Inside, the only sound was the rhythm of breath and the faint hum of life, continuing in its gentlest form. Imagine walking through one of these places now. The corridor is narrow, but the air feels open and infinite. Light falls through a small window in golden stripes, catching the dust that dances slowly in the air. The sound of your footsteps is soft against the worn stone floor. Each step feels older than time, each echo stretching across centuries and folding gently into the quiet. In one of the small rooms, a woman sits beside a window, her hands folded loosely in her lap. The world outside is mist and sky, the faint cry of distant birds, the low sound of wind brushing against the tower walls. She closes her eyes, and for the first time in days, her breathing slows. There are no demands here, no eyes watching, no voices calling her name, just quiet, just the soft rhythm of life in its simplest form. The Middle Ages carried with them a strange kind of peace, a peace born not from understanding but from surrender. The world beyond was vast, uncertain, filled with noise and struggle, but here, in these still places, the mind could soften, and the body could remember the art of rest. The heart, once pulled in 1,000 directions, found a rhythm again, slow, steady, calm. Time in this age did not move in straight lines. It drifted like candle smoke, curling, folding, vanishing, returning. The sun rose and fell without hurry. The moon hung low, glowing faintly against a sky that felt endless. People measured life not by minutes, but by moments of light, dawn, dusk, silence, prayer, sleep. And in between came long stretches of nothingness, that beautiful emptiness where thought and breath became one. The women who stayed within these walls were given soft linens, herbal tonics, and hours upon hours of stillness. Sometimes they were asked to walk in the gardens, to breathe the scent of rosemary and sage, to feel the dampness of the earth beneath their hands. The healers of this time did not yet know the language of the mind, but they knew that peace began in the body, so they wrapped it in warmth, they let it rest in quiet light, and they gave it time, the oldest and most patient medicine of all. You can almost hear it, the sound of a wooden door creaking slowly open, the murmur of wind moving through vines, the faint song of a distant bell. These sounds were not interruptions. They were reminders that life continued gently, without hurry, without force. The mind was allowed to drift, to forget itself, to dissolve into the rhythm of the world. At night, when the candles burned low, the sky outside the narrow windows turned deep blue and gold. The stars seemed larger then, closer, slower, as if they too had learned to wait. The women would lie down beneath woolen blankets, their breathing even, their hearts at ease. They did not know the word anxiety, they only knew the feeling of a restless chest, a heaviness that could not be named. But under the hush of the night, that feeling softened like frost melting into earth. The air carried the faintest trace of lavender, and smoke and sleep came like a tide, gentle, sure, inevitable. Sometimes they dreamed of open fields and sunlight, sometimes only of silence. But always their dreams were soft, like the murmur of water against stone. In the world beyond those walls, life was harder, louder, but within, time folded itself into quiet care. Even without meaning to, these spaces became sanctuaries, not of worship, but of peace, places where the nervous mind was given the luxury of stillness, where the act of resting became an offering to life itself. If you listen closely, you can almost hear their breath through the centuries, the slow inhale, the gentle exhale, the rhythm that connects you to them, a chain of calm running through time. You are not separate from their stillness. It moves through you now as you breathe. Their rest becomes yours. Their quiet becomes your own. In these spaces, healing was not something that happened suddenly. It came like dawn, unseen at first, then soft, then golden. Every morning brought the same gentle pattern. The light falling through the small window, the distant bell, the whisper of wind. Each day began without rush, each evening ended without regret. And somewhere within that unbroken rhythm, something inside began to heal. The healers of this time may not have known the science of calm, but they understood its shape. They saw that peace was a physical thing, that it needed to be built out of light, air, rest, and care. They gave women a place to be quiet, and in that stillness the body found its own language again. The pulse slowed, the muscles softened, the thoughts, once sharp and tangled, drifted like petals on water. The quiet of the Middle Ages was not emptiness, it was fullness without weight. Every sound mattered, every moment stretched gently into the next. Even the act of breathing felt sacred, as though the entire world were breathing with you. The healers would sometimes leave bowls of rosewater near the windows, so the air carried its sweetness when the sun warmed it. They placed sprigs of mint and thyme beside the bed, not only for health, but for memory, for the mind to anchor itself to scent when words were too heavy. They taught that healing could happen in silence, that rest could be prayer without language. And so the days passed, slow and circular, untouched by urgency. Outside, the seasons changed. Leaves fell in gold, snow covered the gardens, rain tapped softly on the roof. But within those walls, the rhythm stayed the same: breath, warmth, stillness. Even time seemed to sleep. The women who lived there were given permission to stop, and in stopping, they found something forgotten: the peace of simply existing. There were no expectations, no measures of worth, no tests to pass. Only the steady companionship of quiet and care. As you imagine this place, let your own thoughts slow to its rhythm. Feel the candlelight against the darkness behind your eyes. Feel the softness of air that holds every sound gently before it fades. The silence of that age reaches across the centuries like a soft hand, reminding you that rest is not retreat, it is return. The heart that beats in your chest now beats with theirs. The breath you take is part of the same old wind that once moved through the cloisters and gardens of that time. The night deepens. The walls seem to breathe. The world narrows to a single, peaceful moment. Nothing presses forward. Nothing demands. The mind grows lighter, the body warmer. There is no story to solve, no lesson to hold, only this. In stillness, the spirit remembers itself. And just as those women once found calm beneath candlelight and shadow, you too can let go, let your breath slow, your thoughts drift, your heart ease. The wind outside is distant now, it hums softly, like a memory of peace. Sleep approaches gently, unannounced, inevitable. The candles burn lower, the last glow brushing across the stone, and the darkness folds around it like silk. Somewhere, far away, a bell rings once, deep and clear, and then the sound fades into night. The air is cool and sweet. The world has gone utterly still. You rest within that stillness, part of its rhythm, part of its grace. The Middle Ages pass quietly into dream, carrying you with them, deeper and deeper into sleep. The Renaissance and the Age of Enlightenment. The centuries open once again, and with them comes a quiet brightness. The air feels lighter, touched by the warmth of morning light spilling gently across stone streets and parchment pages. The world is beginning to wake from a long and dreamlike slumber. The Renaissance has arrived, a soft unfolding of color and thought, a time when the heart begins to breathe again. Shadows pull back from the corners of knowledge, and in their place comes a tender curiosity. The sound of bells echoes through narrow streets, not as a summons, but as a gentle reminder that another day has begun. Imagine walking through Florence at dawn. The cobblestones are still cool from the night, glistening faintly with dew. The air carries the scent of bread baking, the faint sweetness of figs, and the distant trace of paint and oil. Windows open slowly, letting light and laughter spill out in quiet tones. Artists set their brushes before small jars of pigment, their movements unhurried and precise. Scholars unroll parchment, tracing words across its surface like rivers flowing from memory. The world is learning to listen again, not only to God or to kings, but to the quiet rhythm of its own heart. In this world, the body becomes something sacred, not to be feared, but to be studied with wonder. The human form painted and sculpted is not a symbol of sin, but of balance. Every curve, every muscle, every breath is honored as part of nature's design. The soul and body are no longer strangers. They are reflections of one another, two lights moving in harmony. Physicians begin to look inward, and philosophers begin to see the mind as something delicate and divine. The air hums softly with discovery. Step through the courtyard of a small apothecary. Herbs hang drying from the rafters. Sage, rosemary, chamomile, mint. Bottles of oil glisten like jewels on wooden shelves. A gentle warmth fills the room, scented with citrus and pine. The healer moves slowly, grinding petals into powder, pouring hot water into clay cups. The steam curls upward, shimmering in the golden light. Patients sit quietly by the window, sipping tea, feeling the warmth spread through their hands. There is no rush. Healing here is not a task. It is a conversation between time and tenderness. They believed that the mind could be soothed the same way the body could, through stillness, through warmth, through beauty. A walk by the river at dusk, a page of poetry, a cup of herbal wine, all were seen as medicine. Anxiety had not yet been given its modern name, but they understood its shadow. They saw the tremble in the heart and called it imbalance, melancholy, or simply weariness. Their answer was not scolding, but rest in the arms of the world itself. Now imagine the soft sound of footsteps on marble. You are walking through a quiet gallery, The air is cool and smells faintly of plaster and paint. Around you, faces of marble look serene, eyes half-lidded as if dreaming. The light that falls upon them is golden and still. Each sculpture seems to breathe, each painting seems alive. They are not depictions of suffering, but of peace, of the moment after understanding, of the silence that follows clarity. You stop before a painting of a woman reading by an open window. The sunlight touches her cheek. Her expression is calm, untroubled. You can almost hear her breath, steady and sure. It is as though the entire world has learned to exhale. In this age, the heart and the mind walk side by side. Thinkers like Da Vinci and Vesalius study the human form not to command it, but to understand it. The drawings they make are acts of care, each line a recognition of the miracle of being alive. Writers describe the mind as a garden, one that must be tended with patience and light. Sleep, they say, is not the absence of thought, but its renewal. A rested mind is a clear mirror, a calm spirit is a steady flame. As time flows gently into the age of enlightenment, that flame becomes brighter, but never harsh. The world does not abandon its tenderness, it expands it. The scholars of this new age drink tea instead of wine, sit beneath lamps instead of torches, but their pursuit is the same, understanding through calm reflection. The salons of Europe hum softly with voices and laughter. Candles flicker in crystal holders. Outside, rain falls in even rhythms against glass. Inside, people speak of reason, of compassion, of the invisible threads that tie every heart to another. You can picture one of these rooms. The air is warm, carrying the scent of tea leaves and honey. Velvet curtains sway slightly in the night breeze. A group of thinkers sits around a table, not arguing, but musing. Their voices are low, their gestures slow. One speaks of the nature of emotion, another of the mysteries of the nervous system. A woman pours tea into porcelain cups. Steam curls upward, blurring the candlelight into halos. Laughter drifts through the air like the sound of small bells. These are not scientists in the modern sense, they are poets of thought. They do not wish to conquer the mind, only to understand its music. Outside, the moon glows softly over cobbled streets. Horses' hooves echo faintly in the distance. The world feels safe, contained, whole. Knowledge, for the first time, feels gentle. Even reason itself has learned to whisper. It speaks in kindness, not command. In this world, the anxious heart is treated not with fear, but with patience. A troubled mind is invited to rest, to walk, to write, to dream. Physicians prescribe gardens, music, quiet company. They believe in the balance of air and water, of laughter and solitude, and above all, they believe in sleep, not as escape, but as communion with the self. Morning comes again, slow and gold. The streets glisten with early light. The scent of fresh bread rises from every corner. Somewhere, a violin hums softly in an open window. The world seems to sigh. A woman sits by the river, her feet bare, her hands resting on her lap. She watches the water move beneath the bridge, reflecting the pink of the sky. She does not think of healing or illness. She only feels the peace of existing. The moment stretches, endless, quiet. The air itself seems to hum in agreement. The healers of this time begin to write of rest as a sacred act. They speak of the body's rhythms, waking, working, sleeping, as tides, each one essential. To disturb them is to invite disquiet. To honor them is to restore peace. They write of tea as therapy, of silence as medicine. They say that the mind, like a river, clears itself when left undisturbed. So they teach breathing, reflection, simplicity. Their tools are not needles or machines, but warmth, words, and trust. You can almost feel it now, that balance, that gentle steadiness. The Renaissance gave the world its body, the Enlightenment gave it its mind. Together they taught that peace lives in both, that thought and rest are not opposites but partners. The candle and the shadow are one, the inhale and the exhale, one unbroken thread. As the day unfolds, the people of this age walk slowly through gardens lined with cypress and jasmine. The fountains murmur softly, birds drift across the air. A light breeze moves through their hair, carrying the scent of herbs and clean linen. They pause beneath the trees, letting sunlight touch their skin. Every breath feels like a small act of prayer, not to gods above, but to the stillness within. The world hums gently, as if it too were breathing. The Renaissance and the Enlightenment were not only ages of invention, they were ages of remembering that calm is natural, that gentleness is wisdom, that the act of caring for the self is an act of grace. These centuries whisper to us even now, slow down, breathe, look toward the light. There is no need to rush. Every discovery worth keeping arrives softly, like dawn. And as the final candles of the Enlightenment flicker low, the night does not feel like an ending. It feels like rest. The stars shimmer over quiet cities and the wind moves through their streets with the rhythm of breath. The world has learned something profound and timeless, that understanding the mind begins with kindness, that healing begins with rest, that the morning always returns, bringing light to every shadow it once feared. So close your eyes now. Let the light of those centuries linger within you. Feel the warmth of morning on your face, the calm of thought unhurried. The Renaissance is not gone. It lives wherever peace is chosen, wherever beauty is seen, wherever a breath is taken with awareness. You are part of its light, part of its calm, part of its endless dawn. Let the centuries fade to gold around you. Let thought drift into silence. Let rest, that gentle miracle, carry you forward, soft, slow, infinite. The Victorian era. The age of rest and quiet dreams. The world turns once again, and with it comes a hush that settles like a soft blanket over time. The hum of invention fills the air outside, but inside, the world slows to the rhythm of a quiet breath. It is the 19th century, the age of lace curtains, oil lamps, and rooms made for silence. The Victorian era has begun, and beneath its still surface, a new kind of care is taking shape. The art of rest, the belief that peace itself could heal. Imagine a narrow street lined with gaslights that glow like tiny moons. The evening mist drifts through the air, softening every edge. Behind tall windows, the warm glow of candlelight flickers against heavy curtains. The world outside moves with the rhythm of horses and wheels, but here, within these walls, stillness reigns. A small clock ticks quietly in the corner, marking time not with urgency, but with patience. The house breathes slowly, each sound measured, deliberate, calm. In one of these quiet rooms, a woman rests. She lies upon a fainting couch covered in pale fabric, her hair spread like silk across the pillow. The air smells faintly of rosewater and linen. The curtains are drawn halfway, allowing the light to fall in soft golden ribbons across the floor. She does not speak. She barely moves. Her breath is slow and shallow, the kind that belongs to someone learning how to be still again. The doctor has called it a rest cure, a treatment meant to quiet the heart and calm the nerves. To the world, she is ill. But in this room, she is simply at peace. The rest cure is not a story of despair. It is a portrait of stillness. It begins with withdrawal from noise, from duty, from the world's endless motion. The woman is asked to stop. No writing, no reading, no conversation, only rest. The bed becomes her garden, her chair a sanctuary. Time ceases to press forward. It stretches and softens like honey in the sun. The hours no longer march, they drift. Days fold into nights with barely a whisper between them. Outside, life continues its steady rhythm. Carriages roll through fog, street lamps glow, clocks chime in distant halls. But within these walls the air is different. It hums with quiet. The light changes slowly from pale morning to golden dusk to the cool blue of evening. Dust floats lazily in the sunbeams like memories suspended in air. The sound of the world fades until only the heartbeat remains, steady and soft like a metronome for the soul. The woman does not count the hours anymore. She counts sensations. The warmth of the blanket, the gentle ache of still muscles, the tickle of light on her skin. Her thoughts no longer rush or argue. They move like clouds across a patient sky. She has not been asked to think, only to breathe. And so she does. Slowly, deeply, beautifully. There is a grace in this stillness, a strange beauty in surrender. The physicians of this era, with their quiet authority and handwritten prescriptions, believe that rest can restore the broken rhythm of the mind. They speak of nerves like delicate strings, easily worn by too much sound, too much light, too much thought. Their answer is silence, a silence that heals not through force, but through absence. The women they treat are asked to lie down and let the world slip away. And so they do. The days blur softly into one another. Meals arrive on trays, teacups tremble with steam, and the air smells of lavender and starch. The rooms are small, but they feel infinite. Each wall holds the warmth of candlelight. Each shadow whispers of patience. Sometimes the doctor visits, his footsteps slow, his voice a calm murmur. He checks the pulse, nods approvingly, and leaves the same way he came, quietly, as though afraid to disturb the stillness he prescribed. The woman listens to his steps fade down the hallway, then returns to the rhythm of her breathing, her own heartbeat, her only companion. Outside the window, the seasons change unnoticed. Leaves fall and are swept away by the wind. Snow drifts gently across the cobblestones. Rain taps against the glass like fingers tracing a lullaby. The woman dreams between waking and sleep, floating in the soft grey between consciousness and forgetting. In her dreams, there are no doctors, no diagnoses, only open fields, soft winds, and the slow hum of peace. The Victorian era is often remembered for its structure, its manners, its restraint. But within those boundaries lived a hidden tenderness, a yearning for quiet, for introspection, for the soft pulse of calm that modern life was beginning to forget. In parlours and sick rooms alike, people began to understand that exhaustion was not weakness, but a call for stillness. They learned that silence could be a balm, that time could be medicine. The rest cure, for all its misunderstanding, carried within it a whisper of truth. That the body and mind need space to drift, to pause, to exist without demand. In these long afternoons of solitude, the women of that era were unknowingly practicing the earliest form of meditation, the art of being without doing. Their rooms became cocoons woven from light and lace and breath. The world beyond continued to move, but inside, time slowed to the rhythm of the soul. Imagine her now, the woman in her quiet room. The window is open just enough to let the air move gently through the curtains. A bird calls faintly from the garden. The smell of rain drifts in, cool and sweet. Her eyes are closed, her face relaxed. The tension that once lived in her chest has melted into something soft. Her body feels weightless, as if floating on the edge of sleep. This is not an illness, not truly. It is an invitation to rest, to listen, to return to herself. The Victorian home around her hums with quiet life. Somewhere below, the clock continues its measured ticking. Footsteps pass through distant hallways. A servant hums softly while arranging flowers in a vase. The scent of violets fills the air. Everything moves slowly, tenderly. The world has learned, for a moment, the art of gentleness. At dusk, the light turns amber and the shadows stretch long. The woman opens her eyes to see the last rays filtering through the curtains. Dust sparkles in the golden air like tiny stars. The room feels suspended between day and night, between waking and dream. Her breathing deepens. Sleep comes quietly, wrapping itself around her like silk. It is not the sleep of exhaustion, but of surrender, a slow drift into peace. In this era, sleep was seen as a noble act, a retreat into the heart's secret chambers. People wrote poems about slumber, painted it, studied it. They believed that dreams were messages carried by the spirit, that the mind's quiet night work was as vital as the day's labor. To sleep was to heal, to renew, to touch the edges of mystery. And so, the woman sleeps. Her face turned toward the window, her body still. Outside, the stars appear one by one, patient and kind. Hours pass without meaning. The clock forgets itself. Time becomes circular, endless. Each breath folds into the next, and the line between waking and dreaming disappears. The world outside may race toward progress. Factories, inventions, revolutions. But here, in this small, quiet room, the 19th century breathes in peace. It is an age of stillness hidden within motion, of softness within restraint, of calm within the heart of change. When morning comes, light returns gently through the curtains, touching her hands, her face, her quiet smile. The room glows with the soft gold of dawn. The air feels clean, new. She opens her eyes, not with alarm but with ease, as if waking from a dream she wishes to remember. The doctor will return soon. The world will continue. But for now, in this moment between night and day, she rests in the purest truth the Victorian era ever offered, that peace is not found in motion, but in pause. The century hums onward, full of invention, discovery, and change. Yet beneath its surface, the echo of rest endures. The quiet rooms, the soft voices, the slow afternoons, all become part of a collective memory, a lullaby whispered across time. And even now, as you listen, that same stillness reaches you. You can feel it in your breath, in the warmth that spreads gently through your chest. The world fades to a soft blur, and you too begin to drift. The Victorian era closes its eyes, and so do you. The light dims, the air hushes, and sleep, that ancient sacred medicine, begins its work. Time stops counting, the heart slows, the mind sighs, the room, the woman, the century itself, all dissolve into quiet dream. A century of silence, a century of gentle sleep, a century that learned, at last, how to rest. The early 20th century, the age of inner discovery. The world is changing again. The century turns like a page, and the quiet of the Victorian drawing room gives way to something deeper, not louder but more intimate, as though the mind itself has begun to whisper. The world has entered the early 1900s, a time when people are beginning to look inward, to listen not to the ticking of clocks, but to the rhythm of their own thoughts. The air feels different now, softer, yet charged with curiosity, as if the human spirit has discovered a mirror within itself. Outside, carriages have become motor cars and lamps burn brighter with electricity. The cities hum with progress, but beneath that hum is a quieter revolution, the exploration of the mind. Behind closed doors, in rooms filled with books, papers, and the faint smell of smoke and ink, people are beginning to speak their hidden truths. They are learning that silence is not the only form of rest. Sometimes, peace comes from being heard. In Vienna, a man named Freud sits in a small study surrounded by the gentle clutter of thought. The air is heavy with the scent of tobacco and polished wood. On the couch across from him, a woman lies still, her eyes half closed, her voice low and unsteady. She speaks slowly, as though pulling words from the fog of her own memory. The room is quiet except for the sound of her breath and the soft scratching of a pen. For the first time, the mind is being treated not as an enigma, but as a landscape, one to be walked through carefully, with patience and light. This is not a story of science alone. It is a story of discovery, of the soul learning to see itself. The body has been cared for, the nerves calmed by rest and tea and silence. Now it is the mind's turn. The questions are gentle but deep. What do you feel? What do you remember? What do you fear? The answers come slowly, like whispers rising from still water. Memories float upward. Fragments of childhood, of love, of sorrow. They are not judged or denied. They are simply seen, held in the soft light of understanding. In this quiet revolution, people begin to speak of the unconscious, that hidden world beneath thought, where dreams and fears drift together like clouds. Freud believes that within those dreams lies the truth of being human. He listens not with authority, but with a strange kind of tenderness, the tenderness of curiosity. And in this listening, something miraculous happens. People begin to heal by telling their stories. The room where these stories unfold feels timeless. The faint ticking of a clock fills the pauses. The curtains ripple slightly in the afternoon breeze. Dust glitters in the sunlight. A woman speaks of her past, and in the speaking she begins to breathe more freely. Her pain, once locked within her, finds air. Each word is a release, a small exhale of burden. She learns that anxiety, that tightness in the chest, is not a punishment. It is a message, a signal, a soft knock from the hidden rooms of the self. Outside these walls, the world is learning the same lesson. Writers, artists, dreamers all begin to turn inward. They paint not only what they see, but what they feel. They write of thought and memory, of longing and rest. The age of invention becomes also the age of reflection. Machines may speed through the streets, but the human heart slows, listens, learns to name its own ache. Imagine walking through an early 20th century city at dusk. The lamps are glowing, the air is cool. The streets shimmer after rain, and the sound of footsteps echoes softly on wet stone. Behind each window, a different story unfolds. Someone reading in silence, someone writing by candlelight, someone dreaming of a gentler world. The air feels alive with possibility. The mind, once confined by silence, now stretches like a waking cat. It yawns, expands, and begins to understand its own shape. In quiet rooms, people write letters to themselves. They keep journals, sketch their dreams, record the rhythm of their days. The act of reflection becomes a kind of rest, a ritual of renewal. No longer must every feeling be hidden. It may simply exist, like a cloud drifting across the mind's sky. and in this permission there is peace. The modern age begins not with noise, but with the softest of sounds, a breath released, a story told, a heart unburdened. Freud's couch becomes a symbol of that peace. Its surface, covered in patterned fabric, holds the weight of countless confessions. The room grows thick with words unspoken for years. He sits quietly, listening as voices find their own rhythm. The sound of speaking becomes almost musical, a slow, trembling melody that moves from sorrow to relief. The patient begins to smile, not because the pain is gone, but because it has been seen. To be seen, she realizes, is to rest, and so anxiety changes shape. It is no longer a monster lurking in the dark, but a candle burning low, asking to be noticed. It flickers softly, illuminating the hidden corners of memory. To understand it is not to destroy it, but to sit beside it quietly until its light steadies. The early 20th century becomes a time of such understanding, gentle, introspective, full of wonder for the worlds that live inside each of us. In this era, dreams are not distractions, they are teachers. The night becomes a field of symbols, each one whispering something about the heart. Sleep itself takes on new meaning. It is not only rest for the body, but a passageway for the mind, a bridge between knowing and feeling. People wake and write their dreams, searching them for clues to peace. The boundary between the waking world and the dreaming one grows thin. Rest and reflection become one. As the years unfold, others join this quiet exploration. Carl Jung listens to dreams as myths, as poetry. Writers like Virginia Woolf and Rilke weave the language of the inner world into art. They write of streams of consciousness, of time as liquid, of thought as music. And as their words drift into the world, people begin to see themselves not as broken, but as beautifully complex, oceans of meaning beneath calm surfaces. The world outside continues to rush forward, the hum of trains, the rise of cities, the thrum of new inventions, but inside, something gentler grows, a culture of listening, of reflection, of tenderness toward the self. Even science, for all its structure, begins to bow to the mystery of the mind. The physician no longer stands above the patient, but beside them. The healer becomes a companion in understanding, a mirror for the spirit. Now imagine one of these quiet sessions again. The patient speaks, her voice trembles, then steadies. The doctor nods, not in authority, but in empathy. Outside, the city sighs, a streetcar passes, a clock tolls the hour. Inside, time slows. Her words move through the air like drifting smoke, softening as they rise. When she finishes, there is silence, a silence so deep it feels sacred. In that silence, something shifts. She realizes she has been heard, that she has always been more than her worry, that her anxiety, that familiar shadow, is not an enemy, but a messenger reminding her of what needs light. The world learns from this too. It learns that peace does not come from the absence of feeling, but from the gentle acceptance of it. To feel is to live, to understand is to rest. The 20th century, for all its noise and change, carries within it this quiet truth, that the journey inward is the beginning of calm. The self, once hidden behind fear and formality, becomes a landscape of beauty, vast, mysterious, waiting to be explored. And so as the century unfolds into modernity, the idea of care changes once more. Healing is no longer about control, but about compassion. The mind is not an enemy to conquer, but a voice to listen to. The heart is not a weakness to be silenced, but a guide to be trusted. Even in the growing hum of machines and progress, the soul finds its sanctuary in stillness. The age of reflection has begun, and it hums softly beneath the noise of the world. As night falls, the light in Freud's study fades to amber. The last page of notes is closed. Outside, the stars appear, quiet and sure. Somewhere in the city, a window opens. A woman takes a slow breath, feeling her thoughts drift like mist through her mind. She is not afraid of them anymore. They belong to her, the shadows and the light alike. The clock ticks on, steady and calm. The night deepens and the world sleeps in its own awareness, loosening, listening, understanding. This is the new kind of rest. The rest of knowing oneself. The rest of releasing what was never meant to be held too tightly. The rest of being alive, awake, and at peace. The century breathes in. The mind exhales. And somewhere between them, the heart finds its rhythm again. The mid-20th century, the age of the perfect calm. The world has entered a gentler rhythm. It is the middle of the 20th century, and everything seems to hum in soft harmony. The chaos of earlier decades has quieted into routine. Outside, the sky glows with a pale, forgiving light, and the hum of suburban life drifts like music through open windows. The air smells faintly of grass after rain, of soap, of something freshly ironed. Inside a quiet home, the day moves in small circles. The rhythm of footsteps across linoleum floors, the whistle of a kettle, the slow unfolding of a new kind of peace. In the heart of the house, the kitchen gleams like a sanctuary. Everything has its place, the cups lined in perfect rows, the clock ticking softly on the wall, the scent of warm tea curling into the air. A woman stands by the window watching the sunlight spill gently across the counter. Her movements are unhurried, graceful, practiced. She knows the rhythm of the morning, the stirring of sugar into tea, the soft rustle of the newspaper, the sound of her own breathing. Outside, the world goes on, cars pass, children laugh, someone mows a lawn. But here, within these walls, time slows to a quiet hum. She lifts the cup to her lips and the warmth moves through her like a memory. It is comfort, routine, balance, everything in its right place. Yet beneath the surface of calm lies something softer still, a kind of unspoken weariness. The heart, though steady, carries the weight of endless days. The hands that wash, fold and pour move with perfect rhythm, but sometimes they tremble ever so slightly. In that tremble lives the hidden ache of the mid-century woman, the gentle fatigue that comes not from labor, but from the endlessness of care. In the world outside, progress shines brightly. Televisions flicker in living rooms, cars gleam like silver dreams, and advertisements speak of perfect families, perfect homes, perfect lives. The housewife becomes the symbol of serenity, the center of a quiet, ordered universe. Magazines show her smiling, pearls at her throat, sunlight on her face. But beyond the pages, behind the smiles, there is the sound of quiet sighs, the small, invisible breath of someone holding the world together too gently for too long. In this age, rest comes in measured doses. The small pills in pale colors, pink, blue, soft green, rest neatly in their bottles, promising calm in moments of fatigue. They are called tranquilizers, but the name itself feels almost poetic. Each tablet, tiny and perfect, is a symbol of balance, a pause in the endless rhythm of doing. Doctors speak softly of nerves, of strain, of the modern woman's fatigue. And so the pills become a quiet ritual, a glass of water, a moment of stillness, the sound of breath returning to normal. The world outside continues its motion, but inside everything slows, softens, smooths. The house is filled with gentle order. Curtains sway with the breeze. The radio murmurs low, playing melodies that drift like clouds through the air. On the counter, a pie cools beside a vase of flowers. The scent of cinnamon and sugar lingers. The woman hums as she moves, not with joy, but with the steady rhythm of habit, of quiet persistence. There is comfort here in predictability. And yet, beneath the comfort, there is also yearning. A wish for space, for quiet beyond the quiet. For a rest that cannot be bottled or prescribed. The tranquilizer, for all its promise, becomes not a cure, but a symbol of stillness, of surrender, of the longing to pause. When she closes her eyes, the world becomes softer still. The clatter of dishes fades. The hum of the refrigerator becomes a lullaby. Her breath evens out, and she feels herself drift, as though floating in a warm, colorless dream. It is not sleep exactly, but something close, a gentle pause, a moment suspended between wakefulness and surrender. Outside, the sun moves slowly across the sky. The day stretches into afternoon. Children's voices echo faintly from the yard. Somewhere, a dog barks. The air grows heavy with the scent of summer. Mown grass, distant rain, the faint sweetness of flowers. She stands by the window again, watching the light change, her reflection faintly visible in the glass. Her eyes are soft, her face serene. The world sees peace. She feels something quieter still. Not sadness, not joy, but a kind of dreamlike calm, the way a lake feels beneath a still sky. In these years, calm is an art form. The home becomes a stage of perfection. The polished table, the pressed linens, the careful smile. But within that perfection lives a hidden tenderness, the wish to rest without guilt, to be still without needing permission. And so the pill becomes both comfort and confession. It says what cannot be spoken. I am tired, I am trying, I want to stop just for a while. And when she swallows it with her tea, the world softens at the edges. The noise of expectation fades into the hum of the radio. The thoughts that once circled endlessly in her mind begin to quiet, like birds settling at dusk. Evenings in this age are slow and golden. The sun dips low behind the trees. Dinner is served, dishes washed, lights dimmed. The family gathers around the television, faces lit by the glow of moving images. The room feels safe, contained, calm. She sits with her hands folded in her lap, the soft murmur of the show blending with the rhythm of her breath. Outside, the stars appear, one by one. The world feels steady, almost timeless, yet somewhere deep within she senses a small stirring, the faint hum of something waiting to awaken, though it does not yet have a name. In bed, the sheets are cool and clean. The lamp casts a soft circle of light. She opens a book, but does not read. Her eyes grow heavy before the second page. On the nightstand sits the small bottle, a symbol of rest. She takes one more pill, lets it dissolve on her tongue, and closes her eyes. The room breathes with her, slow, steady, unhurried. The world outside fades into soft, colorless quiet. In this moment, she is both dreamer and dream. The calm she has created is a kind of art, built from patience, repetition, and grace. The noise of the day dissolves into silence. Her thoughts drift, untethered, toward the edges of sleep. In that in-between space, she feels herself floating, not away, but deeper into stillness. The body loosens, the mind softens, and the century itself seems to exhale. This is the age of gentle control, of calm that comes in small, measured doses. It is an age that hums with the promise of balance, yet trembles quietly beneath it. The perfect home, the perfect smile, the perfect calm, all masks for something tender and human, the need to rest, to feel, to be. And though the world does not yet know it, this quiet longing will soon become a movement, a whisper that grows into voice, a breath that becomes a song. For now, though, all is still. The kitchen cools in the night air. The last cup of tea grows cold beside the sink. Upstairs, the woman dreams. The moonlight slips across the sheets, silver and soft. Her breathing deepens. The house holds her like a hand. Outside, the trees sway gently, and the stars flicker with patient light. The world hums in quiet understanding. The 20th century continues, full of noise and motion, but here, in this small, quiet home, time stands still. The scent of tea and sleep mingles in the air. The gentle heartbeat of calm fills the room. And as the night deepens, she drifts slowly and beautifully into rest. A rest not of surrender, but of peace. From the 1960s to 2000, the age of stillness and understanding. The world begins to breathe again. The sky feels wider, the air lighter, as if the earth itself has taken a slow, deliberate exhale after years of quiet tension. The decades roll gently forward, from the 1960s to the turning of a new millennium. And with them comes a softer kind of awareness. People begin to look at themselves not as puzzles to be fixed, but as living, breathing beings that need rest, warmth, and grace. Anxiety, once a shadow, becomes a whisper, a signal, a gentle reminder that the body and mind are asking for care. It begins with breath. In quiet rooms filled with soft light, people close their eyes and listen to the air moving in and out of their lungs. They begin to notice the small miracles, the rise and fall of the chest, the way stillness feels alive, the way silence hums with hidden life. The world outside is loud, filled with color, sound, change, but inside, within the space of one slow inhale, there is peace. Meditation, once a distant idea, begins to take root in everyday life. The West learns from the East the art of pausing. Yoga mats are unrolled, incense burns in quiet corners, and people sit cross-legged, learning again what it means to simply be. In these moments of stillness, healing takes a new form. It is no longer found only in bottles or clinics, but in the quiet rhythm of breath, in the patient unfolding of awareness. Therapists and thinkers begin to speak of mindfulness, the gentle act of noticing without judgment. They say that anxiety is not an enemy, but a messenger. It speaks softly in the language of the body. You are tired, you are holding too much, you need to rest. The cure is not silence, but listening. The 1960s hum with revolution, neither not only of politics or art, but of consciousness. The world begins to see that healing is both personal and shared. People gather in small circles, talking not of symptoms but of souls. They sit in candlelight in fields by oceans, breathing together. Music becomes a medicine. Soft guitars, drifting voices, melodies that move like tides. The heart learns that it does not need to be perfect to be peaceful. The mind learns that it can rest even while awake. The decades pass and the search for calm deepens. The 1970s bring exploration, the 1980s reflection, the 1990s integration. The language of care begins to shift. Words like balance, presence, harmony, self-kindness enter daily life. Books on meditation sit beside cookbooks in homes. Morning walks become rituals. Cups of tea become small meditations. People begin to realize that healing is not an event. It is a way of living. In homes across the world, quiet moments bloom. A woman wakes early before the noise of the day. She sits by her window, a soft blanket around her shoulders, and watches the morning light. She takes one slow breath, then another. The air smells faintly of rain and coffee. She does not try to stop her thoughts. She simply watches them pass, like clouds across the dawn. In that simple act, something shifts. A soft loosening inside her chest. It is small, almost invisible, but it is real. Peace, she learns, does not have to be grand. It can begin here, in the pause between breaths. Outside, the world spins faster. Technology grows, cities expand, voices multiply. But within all that movement, a countercurrent flows quietly. People begin to seek the slow. They step away from noise, from constant doing, and return to the body. They walk barefoot on grass. They sit by the ocean, letting waves replace words. They light candles and breathe in rhythm with the flicker of flame. The sacred returns not in grand temples, but in the heart's small rituals. In the gentle quiet of the 1980s and 1990s, science begins to meet the soul. Doctors study the mind and find that stillness heals, that calm breath slows the heart, that kindness alters chemistry, that the body responds to care like a flower to sunlight. Meditation becomes medicine, sleep becomes sacred, and rest becomes an act of wisdom. Anxiety is reimagined, not as a failure, but as a signal, a sign that the body has been listening all along. The mind no longer must be silenced, it must be soothed. Therapists speak in softer tones now. They invite stories, not symptoms. They ask about childhood dreams, about favorite places, about moments of quiet joy. Healing, they say, is not just the removal of pain, but the rediscovery of peace. Patients leave their offices not with prescriptions, but with practices. Breathing, walking, journaling, resting. The world begins to understand that self-care is not selfish. It is sacred. Imagine an evening in the late 20th century. The sun has set and the house is filled with gentle shadows. A candle flickers on the table. The hum of the refrigerator fades into background rhythm. Someone lies on a yoga mat, eyes closed, arms loose at their sides. A soft voice guides them through a meditation. Breathe in calm, breathe out release. You are safe, you are here. The words drift through the air like lullabies. Outside, the wind moves through the trees, and somewhere in the distance, a train hums softly past. The body relaxes, the mind follows. Time slows until it feels like water, smooth and endless. The digital age approaches, bringing noise and connection, light and speed. Yet even here, in the glow of screens and the hum of machines, the lesson of stillness endures. People close their laptops and light incense. They take slow breaths before bed. They practice gratitude, listing small, shining moments, a kind word, a quiet morning, the warmth of a blanket, the sound of rain. Healing becomes less about escape and more about return. Returning to the self, to the breath, to the steady rhythm of life. By the time the century ends, a quiet transformation has taken place. The world, once obsessed with control and cure, has rediscovered gentleness. People have learned that calm is not the absence of feeling, but the presence of acceptance. That peace does not mean perfection, but balance. That anxiety, like wind, is simply a force that moves through, to be felt, listened to, and released. The heart no longer hides its trembling. It breathes with it, learning that even in unease, there can be grace. As the millennium approaches, the night sky glows with quiet promise. Cities shimmer, oceans rest beneath silver moons, and across the world people lie down to sleep, breathing, dreaming, healing. The hum of the modern age fades into the hush of shared stillness. Somewhere, a mother rocks her child to sleep. Somewhere else, a man sits in silence, watching the moon. Somewhere, a woman writes in her journal, "I am learning to rest." And as she closes the book, she exhales. slowly, deeply, and the world exhales with her. The story of anxiety, once tangled in misunderstanding, has become a story of listening, of compassion, of light. The body and mind have learned to meet again, to move in harmony, to find peace in motion and meaning in pause. The 20th century ends not with noise but with breath, a long, tender exhale across time. And as the clock moves gently into a new era, the lesson remains. The simplest acts, breathing, sitting, walking, resting, are the quiet revolutions of the soul. The world has changed, and yet the truth is timeless. Stillness heals. The modern age, the era of quiet within motion. The world hums softly beneath the glow of 1,000 screens. Light pulses from tiny devices spilling over nightstands and faces, shimmering across city windows like restless stars. The rhythm of life is faster now, threaded with movement and noise, the soft ping of notifications, the vibration of messages waiting to be read, the endless scroll of lives unfolding somewhere else. The air itself seems alive with connection, invisible threads tying hearts across continents, even as silence grows rare. Yet within this constant hum, there remains a quieter current, a gentle heartbeat beneath the noise, a reminder that peace is still possible, still near, still waiting. Morning begins not with the song of birds, but with the glow of a screen. The world awakens in light, in lists, in motion. The day stretches forward in endless tasks. Meetings, messages, deadlines, plans. People move through streets and screens with practiced grace, their bodies present but their minds elsewhere. The hum of the city blends with the hum of machines. The sound of life becomes electric. And yet somewhere in this rush, there is a longing, small, constant, unspoken, for stillness, for breath, for something that feels like home. In offices filled with cool air and glowing monitors, fingers move quickly, tapping out thoughts, dreams, reminders. Words travel instantly from one mind to another, but meaning often lags behind. The mind races, the heart follows, and rest becomes something to schedule. But even here, among the rush of modern rhythm, people begin to pause. They close their eyes for a moment. They breathe. They remember the weight of silence, the warmth of sunlight on skin, the feeling of their own pulse beneath their fingertips. Outside, the world is vast. Highways, towers, voices layered one upon another. But within every person lies a small room untouched by time, a place of stillness, soft and golden. It waits behind the noise, patient and constant. Some find it in the early morning, before the first alarm sounds. Others find it late at night, when the city quiets and the light turns silver. It is not far, it has never been far. It lives in the rhythm of the breath, in the gentle rise and fall of the chest, in the pause between one thought and the next. People begin to rediscover this truth. Amid the glow of devices and the hum of machines, a new kind of mindfulness blooms, one shaped by contrast, by the desire to be both connected and free. Phones are turned face down, screens dimmed. The noise fades. For a few moments, only the sound of breath remains. The world outside continues to spin, but within, something slows. The body softens, the heart steadies. The quiet feels unfamiliar at first, almost fragile. But then it expands, filling the space where anxiety once lived. The modern world teaches new ways to find peace. Some close their eyes and listen to gentle voices guiding them through meditation, their headphones becoming gateways to calm. Others step outside, letting the wind touch their face, feeling the ground beneath their feet. Some write, some walk, some simply sit. The ways are many, but the essence is one: to return to presence, to return to being. Rest is no longer an escape. It is a practice, a choice, a daily act of remembering that peace has always been within reach. Even in the heart of the city, where neon lights hum and cars weave like rivers of steel, stillness can bloom. A person sitting in traffic takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly. A woman in a crowded train watches the reflection of her own eyes in the window and smiles softly. A man sitting at his desk pauses before sending another email, closes his eyes and listens, truly listens, to the sound of his own heartbeat. In those small, hidden moments, the world becomes gentle again. The rush loses its edge. The noise softens into music. The culture of productivity once glorified movement, the doing, the achieving, the becoming. But now, quietly, another wisdom rises, that being is enough, that silence is not empty, but full, that stillness is not laziness, but life in its purest form. The body, once pushed beyond its rhythm, begins to remember the sweetness of slowing down. The mind, once tangled in endless thought, begins to rest like a bird settling into its nest. And the heart, steady and true, keeps time not with clocks but with care. Technology, for all its brightness, becomes softer too. The same devices that once kept people awake now guide them to sleep, playing gentle sounds of rain, of waves, of whispered voices reminding them to breathe. Screens fade to black as eyelids grow heavy. The glow of the digital world dims, replaced by the glow of the inner one. That quiet light that needs no electricity, no signal, no name. Night in the modern age is different, yet familiar. The city lights shimmer, but the stars still watch. The roads hum, but the wind still speaks. A person lies in bed, the faint buzz of the day still echoing in their chest. They turn off their phone. The silence that follows feels heavy, but then it softens, expanding like breath. They feel their heart, steady and patient, beating beneath their ribs. It is there, constant, real, alive. The one sound that has never left them. In this age, peace is not found by leaving the world, but by learning to rest within it. Amid the hum of work and the glow of connection, people rediscover the ancient rhythm of being. Meditation apps hum softly, breathing guides whisper through earbuds, and even in digital space, a new kind of stillness spreads, collective, quiet, human. The modern mind, once restless, begins to trust the simplicity of pause. Somewhere, a person sits on a balcony as dawn begins. The sky turns from silver to rose. Birds sing against the faint murmur of traffic. They hold a warm cup in both hands, take a deep breath, and close their eyes. The moment is brief, but it is enough. The world hums, but they are still. They have found peace not by escaping, but by arriving, here, now, within the steady rhythm of their own heartbeat. The day will begin again soon, full of sound and motion. Messages will appear, lights will flash, the world will call. But beneath it all, the breath remains. Slow, calm, eternal. The heart beats on, quiet and sure, whispering the simplest truth of the modern age. Peace is not out there. It is right here, within this breath, within this moment, within you. Final message, the quiet descent into rest. The night has settled completely now. The world outside has softened into quiet shapes, a gentle hush spreading like silk across everything it touches. The lights fade, the air cools, and the noise of the day drifts farther and farther away. You are safe here. You are held in calm. There is nothing left to do, nowhere to go, nothing to fix. The body knows what to do. It remembers. Your breath is the ocean now, slow, rhythmic, eternal. With every inhale, peace moves in. With every exhale, the weight of the day leaves you gently. Your shoulders sink deeper into the surface beneath you. The muscles around your eyes loosen. The space between thoughts grows wider, softer, like mist spreading over still water. Rest is not something to earn. It is something that arrives, tender and inevitable, when you allow yourself to stop trying. The body is wise. It knows how to heal when you are still. It listens to silence the way the earth listens to rain. Each breath carries renewal, washing through every corner of you. The heart beats steady, quiet, sure. Like a drum beneath distant waves, you can trust this rhythm, you can trust this moment. Nothing needs to happen, you are already enough. The night folds around you like a blanket. The sound of your breathing is the only sound that matters. Thoughts come, and they pass, like clouds across a dark sky. You do not need to chase them. You do not need to name them. Let them drift, you are safe, and everything that must wait can wait until morning. The mind softens, the heart opens, and all that remains is calm. Sleep comes not as a command, but as an invitation. Gentle, kind, effortless. Let it approach like fog over a quiet lake. Let it wrap around you, warm and light. The body grows heavier, the breath slower. Every cell in you exhales, every thought dissolves. You are floating now, between waking and dreaming, between time and timelessness, resting in the stillness that belongs only to you. You are safe. You are home. The world outside can fade completely now. In this deep quiet, your body begins to renew itself. Your mind clears, your heart steadies. Every breath draws you deeper into peace. You are entering the softest part of night, the place where sleep holds you gently, fully, without end. You don't need to think anymore. You don't need to do anything at all. Just breathe, just rest. The night is here to care for you. The world is holding its breath with you. Everything is calm, everything is right. Your body is loose, your breath steady. Your heart hums quietly beneath your ribs, a lullaby written just for you. Rest is here now, light as air, deep as the sea. Let go completely. Let the weight of the day melt away. You are safe. You are calm. You are loved. Sleep well, gentle soul. The night will keep you. The earth will hold you. And when morning comes, you will wake renewed, strong, peaceful, and full of quiet light. For now, drift deeper, softer, slower. The stars watch over you. The air hums with stillness. You are asleep now. You are safe. You are home. Sleep deeply. Rest completely. Breathe. Good night.